sports fan has an opinion. Well, these are ours. Welcome to Brock and Pep's Unsportsmanlike Convo.
Right.
And here are your hosts, Brock Fleming and Pep Cariotti.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. We took a week off last week. This is your host, Brock Fleming, and with me, as per usual, now he's a little bit more rushed than normally, but I was going to start bringing it right down. Anyway, P-Talk, Talk 32, your thing threw me off. P-Dog, Cariotti, how you doing, bud?
What's going on, brother?
Not much. Yeah, it's nice to be back. I know we're going to whip through one today because we got a Raptor game you want to watch at 7:30. A big game. I am stuffed probably 14 pancakes in the old mouth for the old Fat Tuesday today.
Nice.
Shout out to Ange for putting those together really quickly after coaching and Jackson's hockey. So we devoured those a little bit too quickly.
Quick shout out Tuesdays
to baby Boss Man. Boss Man's kid is 14. Like it was his birthday yesterday. So happy birthday.
Mini Boss Man?
Mini Boss Man, yeah. I'm not going to say kids' names on unless he wants to.
Never know.
Yeah, play it safe. And shout out to all the vaccinated people in the area as things start to lift and mandates and restrictions start to lift. And I know your gym is opening up and stuff soon. So kudos to everybody who did their part, and because that we're at this stage, we seem to be seeing a light at the end of the tunnel.
Wow! Congratulations, Ontario. 91% of people got vaccinated. That's pretty eligible people, I should say. That's pretty amazing. It's probably the highest in the country. So, and it just goes to show you whether you believe in whatever you believe in. I haven't had the flu in 2.5 years. So if you don't think the masks did their job, I think you just need to check yourself, admit defeat, understand that these things, all public health measures that were in place helped, and just be thankful instead of being grumpy and complaining. Like, we're out of it. If anybody took the worst of it, it was me. I mean, what more can happen to one person outside of dying myself? Lost family members, lost my job, and I'm here. I'm still optimistic, and I still believe in the people that run the city. So, yes, I have my gripes with certain things and certain people, but be happy. Enough of this. We're always at each other's throats, for crying out loud. One thing this Ukraine thing has done is put out everything in perspective.
1,000%. I was just going to say, if we're protesting and we're upset with certain restrictions, then you see what's happening over there, and that's serious stuff. And when I talk about being worried about, things, this war with Russia and Ukraine and what this Russian leader is, I think that's what I'm most scared of what he's capable of next. And for me, that's that actually concerns me.
Yeah. I mean, it's a scary time. And, it is trickling down into the sports world. Everything from IIHF to FIBA, the World Basketball Association, to FIFA, the soccer. They've all kicked out Belarus and Russia. They're all pariahs now. They will just not be acknowledged, and they're not able to compete. I mean, from
World Juniors as well from Russia, which were scheduled for next year. So they're moving them out of there, and they're not going to be allowed to compete either.
Some teams in the KHL are pulling their teams. It's all kinds of stuff. Now, again, it's not a political show, so we won't stay political too long. But at what point do you keep, with the sanctions and with all this stuff, pulling sports teams? Are you just pressing? Are you egging him on to just go further, or are you forcing him to surrender? Because I don't think he's going to surrender at this point. I think, he's in it to win it now because he was embarrassed that the first wave of his troops, I think he expected the Ukrainians to just sort of drop and give up and say, oh yeah, you take what you want. We don't want to die. Instead, they're fighting and they've embarrassed him. So now he's sitting there probably stewing. So the whole thing with sanctions versus sports teams and economic sanctions, like I worry that it's just, pardon my language, just pissing them off. Like, so I don't know, scary.
Well, they're looking for any ways of non-lethal ways of going back at him or pressuring him to quit this. So, again, we talk about not being political, that's fine. But there's a lot of overlap between these politics and sports. Everything you've just talked about being banned for a bunch of different big organizations, teams for the KHL. You got athletes such as Dominic Hasek calling out the NHL and saying that he thinks that they should suspend and stop paying all Russian players.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's not Russian-born players. I'm guessing, are Russian citizens that are here on work visas that are making American money and profiting from that to say that they should be suspended and whatnot. And I know you kind of had a take on it, and I had a take on it, and a few of our listeners obviously chimed up. But I think it's just another avenue. They're looking for ways of putting pressure on Putin without getting to physical confrontation, I guess, more than anything.
It's tough. I know CCM just pulled their contract agreement with Ovechkin and any Russian players who are affiliated with them. I don't know. It just came across my feed as right before we started our show. So I don't know. I didn't read it. I don't know if it's like sponsorship money or actual like not letting them use their equipment, or I'm not really sure. I'd have to look into it. But I know they're part. CCM is synonymous with hockey. Actually, Ricky, I did read that. Again, that came across my feed. Cain Velasquez is being charged with second-degree or first-degree murder in the shooting death of somebody in San Jose. I don't know how he's involved. It's one of those, innocent until proven guilty things, but the story doesn't sound too good for him. Cain Velasquez, UFC fighter?
Yeah.
Heavyweight? He was a big guy, eh?
He's a big guy.
Yeah.
For sure.
Is he the one? Did he beat Brock Lesnar? Was he the one that was getting his butt kicked and then came back?
Oh, we would need a fact checker to check that, but I don't know if we're on time and Ricky Jackson is saying yeah.
Thank you, Ricky. All right.
Yeah, he's lethal.
Wild stuff. Yeah, there was a few things. But anyway, that CCM story came on. And again, we're probably going to see stuff like this. My take was really quick, was just that, these guys have families in Russia, and it's, if they are led by a madman, which by all accounts, he's lost his marbles. You're putting your family at risk if you're a big name superstar in the NHL or any sport really. And, you go against the empire. I don't know, whatever they call themselves out in Moscow. And then you put your family at risk, who knows? All of a sudden something happens where these people, KGB, show up at their door, Ovechkin's family's door. You just never know. I'm not defending it, but I also understand you gotta toe the line and be careful what you say across the planet where you can't really protect your family. So,
well, maybe the NHL suspending players, Russian players, and not paying them. Maybe that's doing them a favor.
Yeah,
because it's not that they are actually speaking out when they're getting paid and saying, I'm choosing to do this. They're saying, hey, we need to stop. I need the money or whatever. And maybe they can leverage that and kind of, I don't know, make it twisted a bit more so it's not their actual opinions as much as it's saying, look, we need to do it because our livelihood is being tampered with and stuff. But like you said, on the other side of the coin is all this stuff is going to, piss him off more. And, then you got his buddies like Ovechkin and stuff complaining, and you say, you know what, like, we're going to take this to the next level. And
that's a scary thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's already scary. I'm watching the convoys come in now and stuff too. And even though they're supposed to resume talks, I think tomorrow, I'm not holding my breath for anything. And I think it's just stalling the inevitable.
They had an EU talk today, and every representative from every country got up and left the room when the Russian guy started talking, because he was just talking about how Ukraine had instigated some of this stuff. And literally everybody, and the Canadian representative got on the mic and said, none of us wanted to sit and hear all these lies, and they got up and left. So, I mean, it's just all for show. I want to shout out Vitaly Klitschko, the brother of Vladimir Klitschko. Vitaly's the mayor of Kyiv, which is the capital of Ukraine, which is where the President Zelensky's currently staying. Talk about courage. I'm sorry. I don't know if I would have that level of courage to stay, knowing that people are coming to basically kill me or capture me or whatever. They're there to fight, and they're outmanned like 10-1. I just like what we're witnessing. I don't think there's a parallel certainly in my since I've been alive. We've witnessed the Gulf War and the Afghan War. We've seen some of this stuff, but I don't think there's been a parallel where the people in a country took arms and defended them. I don't think I've ever seen this in my life.
No, no, I haven't. I mean, you're older than I am, so if you didn't see it, I haven't seen it. But
you son of a, you had to. Yeah, jeez.
But no, I mean, I've never. I know producer Mike brought up Kosovo and stuff back in the day and whatever, but it's the fact that they're arming regular citizens and again, keeping 18 to 60-year-olds from leaving the country so that they stay and help fight and stuff. People have mixed emotions on that and stuff as well. But ultimately, yeah, these guys, like,
crazy.
I'm assuming his brother's there as well. But, he has all the means and the money and all that kind of stuff to be somewhere else. Same with that president. I mean, he's
totally,
staying frontline. And I mean, this guy's story where it was 4 brothers and 3 of them were killed with it wasn't the Holocaust, but because they were Jewish, and he was the last. Anyway,
it's crazy.
It's absolutely crazy. And it's I don't know. It's hard to do nothing over here. Like, you just don't know what to, other than contributing to aid that Canada's matching and all that kind of stuff, and help them as much as we can there. But it's tough to watch, and it's scary.
I find that tough too. Because I don't know where this money goes. Like, you want to donate to the Red Cross, but where's it going? Like, is it going to feed the refugees that are out now living in the outskirts, the people living in the tunnels? Like, it's always tough. Of course, we always want to help, but like, it's so happening in real time. I don't really know where the money's going to go, and I've always been skeptical of like companies like UNICEF and where the money actually goes and how much is kept by the people who run the charities. I'm not disrespecting. Like, if you want to donate, I highly encourage everyone to. I'm just always a little skeptical when companies like the Red Cross and or UNICEF take the lead in these things. I'd rather see I'd rather somebody from there, they hook me up with somebody who's actually living in the subway with their bank account when I e-transfer them directly. I'd much rather do that. I mean, virtually impossible logistically, but that's how I personally feel anyway.
Yeah, that's what we want. We want people in a subway scared for their lives, texting Pierre Cariotti for $40. Anyway,
$40.
Whatever. I know, jokes aside, I get what you're saying.
It's always tricky when you're talking about companies like that. So shout out to Dmitry Kristich, former Washington Capital forward, who is fighting in Ukraine. He's actually armed and on the streets. This is a guy who played in the NHL for a number of years with the Capitals. He may have played a year or two with Ovechkin. I think he was pre-Ovechkin. If we had a fact checker, Troy St. Louis would know this for sure. Dmitry Kristich, forward for the Washington Capitals, great player, Ukrainian. He's literally a soldier right now, and he's not even in the army. He's just taken up arms. He has some experience, apparently. I mean, just crazy stuff.
Hey, my heart goes out to that whole country, all the stories I'm seeing, and shout out to Poland and all the citizens there who have been taking people in and stuff. Again, we're getting off onto a straight political thing, but it is what it is. This is the big news at this point. This is, potentially, I don't know, let's say world changing. Like, it's scary. It affects the sports. We're getting athletes and stuff speaking about it. Anyway, it's it's scary.
Let's get on to some more sports news that'll be depressing. You know what? Do we have the headlines music though? Just to make it official that we're getting into our headlines.
Yeah.
Headlines with Brock and Pep.
Do we know her name?
Who are we talking? Oh, the person speaking.
Yeah, we should at least know her name.
I quickly, I looked in the private chat. I'm like, are you messaging producer Mike in the back or something? Where is this coming from? No, I have no idea who that. Actually, I'd have to check because I think I got her through Fiverr, and it might have been this guy's wife who was doing the voiceovers. I'm not sure. I got to check.
Okay, it'd be nice to know her name because it's a lovely name.
Producer
It's
Mike
a lovely
says
voice.
Becky. I don't think it is, but
Works for me. All right, the MLB had a self-imposed deadline for yesterday. They said, well, we're not going to meet that deadline, so they expanded it today. And the MLBPA rejected the latest and, quote, best offer that MLB had to give today. So here we are. They've officially canceled the first two series of the season. I mean, every day that goes by will probably mean two new days and so on and so forth. So we're looking at an abbreviated season as we speak. And then how abbreviated, we don't know. Now, some people will say, well, good, MLB's the season's too long anyways. But look, this is bad. I don't like it. I'm upset. We're talking about guys who are being offered contracts for 10 years, $400 million. Guys, anybody from the MLB, if you're listening, the optics are terrible. Okay, this isn't the NHL where guys, at most might make 7-8 mil, which is a lot of money still. You guys make 20, 30, 40 mil a year. Your utility guy probably makes more in a game than I've made in my entire life. I'm having a hard time having any sympathy at all. You almost ruined the game in 94 when you went on strike. If this goes prolonged, you're going to lose me for good. As much as I love the Jays and baseball, I have a limit. And when I reach the end of my leash, it's over. Brock, I don't know if you're as upset as I am. Are you? Are you not? What's your take? What's your feel?
Well, I'm not as upset as you. But that's Hey, I'm right on par with you. I agree. And so you're kind of saying you're taking the owner side of this?
Nobody's side. I did. They're both ridiculous. What are you guys arguing over? I need to see what they're arguing over. I need to see an itemized list of what the issues are right now, because I bet you they're ridiculous.
That's what I haven't seen yet. But when you see a guy turn down a $350 million contract because he's like, no, I'm gonna make $500 million over whatever it is, 10 years or something, absolutely absurd. And that's the kind of stuff from like, you should be skipping to work with whatever else is there. If you're making that kind of money, there should be no reason for it. Somebody, now you posted it, I can't remember the guy's name, the thing that said, hey, if you replace, take the next
Jeff Passan.
Who's that?
Jeff Passan. He's a writer for MLB Network.
He said, if you take the next top 1,200 baseball players and put them in, you're going to lose. The game's going to drop significantly. But if you change 30 ownership groups to other business men or women, and he's like, you probably be on par, if not move the game forward. And I have to tend to agree with him.
If I had to pick a side, for sure. I mean, the players are the ones who are the product. I believe yes, Ricky, I believe you're correct. There's no cap. Guys are making all kinds of crazy money. Look at the Yankees. At the deadline, whatever they need, they just go and pick up and they buy, right?
They pay the luxury tax. Same,
yeah,
Red Sox, all those teams.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's just the way it is. Whether that's good or bad, maybe they have to readjust that. But when it comes to like, I don't know who's arguing with who. I mean, unless you're the Tampa Bay Rays or the Miami Marlins, who profit share, you guys might have a beef, I guess. I don't know. But I mean, your players are still making all kinds of crazy scratch. If you don't like it, guys, players, go buy a team then. They're the owners. They own the team. They pay your salaries. I don't know what you want. I don't know what you want. Like, did you hear that?
Yeah, I heard that.
Sorry, that's my
sound bar.
Yeah, no, that's my that's my. When I get a text, I got the dance club air horn is my text noises. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I can't take a side. I mean, I'm just so annoyed with this now. I can't believe, it just kind of mimics what's going on with the war here. Like, have we not learned anything from history at all? We just keep repeating the same mistakes over and over, and every sport does it. But like baseball seems to let it trickle into its season more often than other work stoppages. I find maybe it's just me. I can't deal, guys. Figure it out. Like, this is ridiculous.
Well, the Jays were, I don't know, they're not odds-on favorite, but they're up there for competitive teams. And in '94, that was the reason for the strike. It would have been, close to an All-Canadian World Series if it wasn't. Those Expos were on a tear. The Jays were coming off back-to-back.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we don't want a third. So they're going to strike. Is that any correlation? Who knows? Anyway, I'm with you. Get over it. Get back on the field because people just don't want this. And if you're going to stall and drag this on, people are not going to be coming back.
All right, Brock, you'll be happy to know that this next topic is football related.
Whoop, whoop.
Yep. And I'm going to selfishly bring up my Steelers, and I want to ask you your opinion.
Which quarterback do you want to get?
Well, 3 names have come up. Now, this is just, this is somebody who knows somebody in Pittsburgh who wrote about it in the Gazette. But they have, I'll let you guess, and then I'll tell you who they are, and then you pick the one that you think is best out of the 3 that they're naming. So, guess the 3 quarterbacks that have come up in trade or acquisition talks.
Marcus Mariota.
I'm not going to tell you yes or no yet.
Oh, okay. I'm like, did you freeze? I'll say Mariota, Jalen Hurts, and Carson Wentz.
Fantastic.
Is that what it is?
0 for 3.
Okay, cool. Well, those I think they should go there.
I'll give you the ones from my least interested to most interested, or interesting, I should say. So Jameis Winston is a name that's come up. He's as big as Ben. He's got a same kind of gunslinger mentality. Maybe it's a good fit with Tomlin. I don't know. Not my first pick. Teddy Bridgewater is the second guy that's come up.
Okay, I was going to say.
Okay, Ricky Jackson, 0 for 3 as well, my friend. Again, this is just a news reporter with the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. So, Jameis Winston, Teddy Bridgewater. Again, these are probably guys, 1 or 2 year guys that they'll bring in so they can draft a guy like Malik Willis from Liberty and groom them. They're gonna draft a quarterback. I think they're gonna go that route rather than spend the big cash on a star. So, Jameis Bridgewater
Winston.
and Mitch Trubisky, who I think would be a really good fit in Pittsburgh. He's mobile. I think he's learned a lot playing under Josh Allen and that offense. I'd like to see him get an opportunity because I don't think the Bears gave him a fair shot. I think the Bears pulled the plug on him too quickly. I don't think he had the weapons that he needed to succeed in Chicago. So, those are the 3 names that have come up as bridge quarterbacks as they draft somebody. Your thoughts of those 3 guys? I mean, you could say 0, I suppose, but who would be the best fit for them? Who would you choose, number 1? And who do you like out of those 3?
Out of those 3,
yeah,
I think I like Bridgewater.
He's won some games. He won some games last year.
He's won some games. He's getting that experience. He, again, had that injury, which kind of put him back, but has all the talent. I think he's not as risky as a Jameis Winston is. And I think he would fit in well with Tomlin. And I don't know. There's something, again, it is what it is. I think Bridgewater would fit in well with the Steelers offense a little bit better than a Mitch Trubisky, in my opinion. I do like, somebody I like Mariota, who's out there right now.
Big fan.
Who might be able to do something. So he is somebody that would be on my radar from a Steelers perspective. I don't think the Steelers draft a quarterback this year. I just don't think there's anybody worth taking unless they fall into their lap in like the 3rd, 4th round kind of thing. You take a shot. But I think if they land somebody like a Bridgewater or a Mariota, that's a bridge for like maybe 2 or 3 years, because the quarterbacks in this year's draft are not anywhere near what they were last year, and likely not what they're going to be next year as well. You don't usually have 2 down quarterback draft classes, and this one is definitely a down one. So if I'm the Steelers, I'm finding somebody who can come in for 2 or 3 years, but I'm looking to draft a quarterback maybe next year.
That's why I like either Winston, Trubisky, or or Mariota myself. Those are the three guys I'd look at. If you're not going to go for the big fish, i.e. Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson, though I would love to see Mariota or Winston or Trubisky come in, get a sort of a second chance with a different offense, young enough that, hey, you can give them that 2-year window to start. And like you say, draft somebody. Yeah, I like Mariota. He's, and he's come in, he's played well. I mean, he led the Titans to the AFC Conference Championship one year. Is he spectacular? Well, they weren't spectacular, so they didn't have the weapons.
He had one of the most spectacular fantasy football plays I'd ever seen.
Right.
He rolled out to the left, threw the ball, caught the ball, scored a touchdown. I think that counted as a passing touchdown, a receiving touchdown, and something else.
It's amazing.
Touchdown. Oh, yeah, it was ridiculous. It was
amazing.
20 points in one play.
So, I mean, we'll see. If Kenny Pickett falls to their lap, the hometown kid, I think they'll take him. But I think you're right, Brock, and I would like to see them spend first round assets on like offensive line and not have to spend on a quarterback yet. Like you say, the crop coming out might not be ready for to start this year. So we'll see what happens.
If you like Malik and he is a third round guy or something, fourth round guy, maybe you do it, but you don't take him in the first round.
No,
probably not the second round. Go to the other pieces that you need. Again, I really feel like a lot of the NFL teams are going with this model to say, you know what, we're going to basically put everything together and then we just need to grab a quarterback. So next year there will be other high profile free agent quarterbacks that might be available to pick up, to sign for 1 or 2 years. But if you have everything established already, all you got to do is plug and play when it comes to the quarterback. And I think that's where guys and teams are being really successful. You've seen the Rams do it.
Yeah.
The Bucs were doing it. I know there's a couple of the pieces with Brady, but you see that. And, that's just I don't know. It's a different
49ers.
I kind of like it. 49ers haven't won anything yet, but the 49ers, if they do plug in a top quarterback, they're right there. I totally agree. They're that unit, that coaching staff, the offense and defense, everything is there. They just need to have the one guy. Now you find out one guy, as opposed to getting the one, then trying to, figure out the rest of it. Start the other way. I kind of like that way of going, that approach.
Moving on to a little puck. We don't talk a lot of puck. Hi, Savina. But we talk, local teams, Ottawa, Montreal, Toronto. A quick assessment of the three teams right now. People are bashed Toronto like they bashed the Dallas Cowboys, and I don't know if it's really warranted right now. It's fun to hate the Leafs, but you have to give them their respect and credit. I mean, they're 33-15 or something like that. I'd have to double check. They're like 20 games over 500. They're second in the conference. They've just won 2 in a row. They had that 10-7 shootout win against Detroit the other night. Detroit's a much better team than they were the last couple of years. My problem with Toronto right now is their lack of flexibility financially. They can't go out and make a huge move. And by the looks of things, they need a goalie. Can you win without a top-tier goalie? The only teams that come to my mind right now in recent times would have been, I think, the Capitals. Maybe Holtby might have been their goalie when they won the Cup a couple of years ago.
Yeah, and Holtby was pretty good.
He's pretty good. Is he a top 5 goalie in the NHL at that time? Was he a top 5? Maybe that year.
That's what you're basing it on. If they go and win the Stanley Cup, you're a top 5 goalie. Really?
I guess.
You can't hide a bad goalie. You can't.
But are they going to win the Cup? Basically, my question is, are they going to win the Cup with Peter Mrazek and Dan Campbell?
I could have stopped yet. Are they going to win the Cup? No.
Well,
you say hey, they're
a talented team.
Cowboys. Same thing. They're exactly the same thing until proven otherwise.
It's a pretty good comparison, eh?
It's spot on.
I know.
Cowboys. I've seen the Cowboys win a Super Bowl twice in my lifetime.
You got to feel for Toronto because they make the moves, they spend the money. I just think that they always seem to overspend on one area and not enough on another, and they're not well balanced. And they're not the Colorados, and they're not the team, the Carolinas. Carolina's a beauty team, but you need goaltending, and I like those guys. I don't think Peter Mrazek is the number 1 goalie in the NHL. I just don't. So I mean, it's going to come back and haunt them. Ottawa is a funny team. A couple of their players have come out. Yeah, that's a good point. teams are calling Ottawa for guys like Nick Paul and, like guys I really like on their team. They bring character, but who are you going to deal Nick Paul for? More assets? You're 19-27. So you're kind of you're not going to make the playoffs at that record, but you're kind of in the middle of the pack. You maybe top 12 draft pick with that record. You're not as bad as the record says. You went through a tough stretch with COVID and all that stuff. Like I don't know if I deal with these guys. Those Nick Pauls you need in your lineup. Like if you're the Sens, are you dealing more assets to gain more draft picks at this point? Like how much more rebuilding do you need to do? Like I mean, it's been 4 years.
No, exactly, and that's the problem. Like the return you would get for guys like that, like you drafted these guys based on other transactions, and now you're kind of letting them develop. And now they're at a point where they're contributing. They would be good, second, third liners with different teams who are making that push. So that's great. But ultimately, what are you getting back? You're going 4 years backwards for every one of these players. So
that's exactly it.
Stay with what you have if you're happy with it. If there's somebody that you feel like, this is as best they're going to get or whatever, sure. Or the deal is too good to pass up, fine. Otherwise, stay the course. Like, you're rebuilding over the next little while. So if anything, you guys should be going out to get somebody back. If you're going to, like next year, if you're going to be making a push or saying, look, we seem to have the pedigree in the stables right now. Let's get the next one other piece to kind of push it through. Like going to get that quarterback. Say, let's go get one other or two other pieces, and let's really make a push now because everybody seems to be gelling and growing at the same time.
Sure.
You can't deal that guy right now.
They got all the pieces, man. Stützle and Tkachuk and Colin White looks finally healthy. Maybe they need a goalie potentially, but I like their young guys in nets. Like they should be dealing Brandstrom. Yeah, okay. Yeah, Brandstrom's name's come up in trade talks. Again, I don't know. What are you going to get in return?
Should be dealing Brandstrom and abroad. I don't know which broad it is, but I don't know what we get back.
His wife? That's a tough one. Anyway, sorry, whoever wrote that comment. We love you, buddy. I don't know but yeah, no, Barbier for sure. I think Brandstrom's name's come up, but he's young. I don't know. What are you going to get in return again? Right? So it's tough.
Time to build for next year and dump whatever you think won't be back, like Tierney. If there's guys that aren't going to be back or they're free agents and stuff, for sure. But I don't think Nick Paul or Paul's not in that, is he?
I'm not. I'd have to look him up. But Nick Paul's a young guy. Like Tierney, they picked up in the Carlson trade, did they not? Like he's a veteran. You could let a guy like that go and not lose anything. Really, he's an older guy. You're trying to build
young talent. That's coming and starting to make a name for themselves.
Yes,
for them right now.
Shabbat is awesome. Build around him, you'll be fine. The last team I wanted to talk about was Montreal. I think we all know what's happened in the last couple of weeks. With the coaching change and Brock. We've seen it in sports 100 times. Whenever there's a coaching change, the team usually comes out guns a-blazing for the first couple of games. So it's adrenaline rush, new voice, whatever.
You got to prove yourself.
This has a different feel to it. They've won 5 in a row. I think they lost his first 2, but they were close games. One was overtime. This has a little bit of a different feel. Martin St. Louis, unlike Patrick Waugh, who the fans were clamoring for, St. Louis is a quiet, unassuming guy. He's the perfect guy for this job. I don't care about his lack of experience. He's a perfect guy for this job. I'm so happy they hired him now in hindsight. I think Jeff Gordon.
What was your initial reaction? Was it
with Marty St. Louis? I didn't have one. I'm like, okay, I trust Jeff Gordon because he's good, and they've got a good, solid foundation now up front in the head office in Montreal. Those guys don't mess around, and they're not gonna just do stuff based on their heart like Bergevin used to do. This is a business. We're going to do what we have to do. I love it, and they're bringing Vinny Lecavalier. Those guys are winners. But they're unassuming guys. You bring Patrick Waugh into a young room like that, he's a loose cannon. You've seen him coach in the minors? He's lost it. Is he a good coach? Maybe. I don't know. But just because the city has a love affair with him doesn't mean he's the right guy for the job. I admittedly would have liked to see him in Montreal because I would have liked to see the crazy. It would have drawn my eyes to a game. But when we're trying to build a winner, maybe he's not the guy. So 5 in a row, coaching change. What's the difference? I don't know. Have you watched any of the Montreal games at all? Have you had a chance to catch any of their wins?
I've actually watched some of it.
And what are you seeing in a difference from the shelling they were taking under Dom Ducharme?
Well, the thing that brought me to the thing was to the screen was the hamburgers being thrown on the ice. I was like, "Oh, what's that?"
Andrew Hammond, I love it. I love it.
So, I mean, there's a guy that, I followed his story with it when he was with Ottawa and all that kind of stuff. So to see him kind of come and get that, I don't know, I feel like he's getting that second chance to
totally
make an impression. And so, again, I'm sort of cheering for him and see how that goes. But I feel like St. Louis relates to his players and sort of knows how to talk to them a little bit. And right now they just seem to have a whole bunch more energy on the ice and like a rejuvenated enthusiasm for playing the game. And that's what, what's going to lead to wins. Is it sustainable? Is he going to be able to do that? That's where the real coaching struggle comes in, is, making sure your voice doesn't get stale too fast. And you don't sort of like leave all your tricks out early to get that results, and then you have nothing else later on. You need to be able to balance that. And I'm anxious to see how he does it.
Yeah.
Fact checker said that Nick Paul is a UFA at the end of the year.
Okay, so maybe you consider him if you know you're going to lose him. That's okay. I get that, but again, he's the type of guy you want. He's got size. He's gritty. He'll get into the corners. He'll give you 10 goals, and I like guys like Nick Paul. Like you need those guys on your team, and if he's young and if he's affordable, I don't think he's going to get a huge pay raise. I mean, you got to spend some money, Eugene.
Just because he's a UFA doesn't mean we're going to
right.
lose him. You have to start keeping people around.
Hey, Eugene, you got to make a bid on the LeBreton. It's coming up for bids again. I think they're going to ignite that conversation again with building an arena downtown. I know you Canada folk. It's convenient. It's great. I get it. But if you got to build a new arena, I mean, just down here by the War Museum, there's all kinds of space. From a business perspective, it makes sense. I mean, you got to have it in the heart of your city.
Having the heart of the city, I mean, it also justifies, the subway that we're putting in. And, I would like the only reason for me to go back downtown is for a Sens game, because I still like working from home.
That's right.
Did you just call him Genie?
Did I call him Genie? I said Eugene. Did I not?
I don't know.
Did I call him Genie? If I did, I didn't mean to. I'm so sorry.
Hey, Genie. Get down here.
Yeah, it's, and that's yeah. I mean, just have it downtown, and you're going to draw a lot more Quebec crowd. The Hull and the Gatineau guys are going to come in and watch games. So you got two provinces cheering for one team, and we'll see what happens. Paul will sign a hometown discount. If he won't sign an extension before the deadline, you have to move him and not lose him for nothing. Absolutely. I mean, yeah. I mean, for sure. I think that goes with every sport. If you don't want to lose anybody for nothing. Yeah, we've seen that in basketball happen a lot. Guys get dealt simply because they've already said they're gonna leave anyway, so they deal them even though the team chemistry is right. So, speaking of basketball, one quick note: if you haven't seen John Morant play, he's point guard for the Memphis Grizzlies. Right now, he's probably the best player in the NBA. So. He is scary good. We saw the dunk. I had posted it on our show. He does a lot more than just dunk. I'm not a big fan of the guy. He reminds me too much of Allen Iverson. I was never a big Allen Iverson fan, but he's an incredible player, and the Grizzlies are really good. Like, they're third in the West. The Memphis Grizzlies, folks. I know no one's talking about them, but they're young, they're athletic, they jump through the ceiling. I mean, it's crazy to watch them play basketball.
You know how Morant's good is when, I forget if it was on Facebook or what, Josh Donaldson was looking for anybody who had Morant's rookie cards, and he was going to buy what has meant.
Oh, yeah.
In the sports cards. So it was John Morant, and he wanted all those cards.
That's amazing. He's a fantastic player. So watch for them. I did want to mention one thing. Charles Oakley, former Knick and Raptor and NBA tough guy, really, because he didn't do much other than beat the hell out of people and grab a few rebounds. Character guy though. He came out and said that Giannis Antetokounmpo, the Greek freak, would never have survived his era. We've had this discussion with eras and styles of play and all that. We've talked about it, and it was rougher in the 80s. Yeah, maybe it was. It definitely was, because That's the way the game was played, and that's the way the game was reffed. But the Greek Freak would have dribbled circles around Charles Oakley. Like, I mean, the quality of basketball now, the skill these guys, he's 6'11". Like, he's the size of a center, but he dribbles like a guard and he jumps through the ceiling and he can shoot the three now. I mean, I'm sorry, Charles Oakley, you would have no chance against the Greek Freak in your prime versus him in his prime. And on top of that, Brock, you know what upsets me? Why would a guy like that dump on an NBA guy who represents the league really well? Has the Greek Freak ever been controversial or anything like that?
No.
Like, isn't he the kind of guy you want representing your league?
Yeah.
So Charles Oakley, as an alumni, as a guy who's trying to get back in the good books, Jimmy Dolan from the Knicks tried to kick him out of the Garden a couple of years ago. Like, you're trying to get back in the good books of the league. Why would you dump on a league superstar like Antetokounmpo if you're Oakley?
Attention.
That's it. That's got to be it. That's got to be his sole, just to grab some headlines.
You know how many people do that these days?
Yeah.
Where it's just like an effort to, spark a conversation, to stay relevant, to have their name brought up somewhere, whether good or bad.
Wait a second. You talking about me?
I don't, not directly. I mean, hey, good. Any press is good press, I think.
Absolutely.
The stuff that Stephen A. Smith spews out.
Oh, yeah.
All the time, like, it's
good example.
It's for clicks. It's clickbait. It's
Yep.
to stay relevant. That's the only thing that makes any sense for why Oakley would bring that up, because, like you said, other than how to pronounce his name, there's nothing that the Greek Freak is doing that is detrimental to the game, questions his character.
He won a title last year.
On the court or off the court. Like, he just seems like a really nice guy.
Who won a title last year with nobody. Title. No offense to Chris Middleton, but Chris Middleton. That's his second best player on that team. So, I mean, you got to anyway. That frustrates me. And Isaiah Thomas, who I'm not a big fan of, old Detroit Piston guy, in his defense, he came out and said, Charles, you don't know what you're talking about. Like, the Greek Freak would have jumped all over you, would have beat the hell out of all of us back then. So I commend Isaiah Thomas, who, again, I'm not his biggest fan, but he actually came to Oakley's defense. So anyway.
Took a lot of hits to the head too. You never know.
Yeah, for sure. Anyway, that's all I got for headlines, pal. Sorry to the Canucks and Jets and Flames fans. Flames look really good, by the way. Yeah. But we'll talk a little bit more pucking in the upcoming weeks. Canucks need to go back to that.
Markstrom's their goalie.
Great goalie.
Yeah, I messaged him because he's got big pads. I was like, "You got any old pads?
Can you send them over to me?" Shout out to the Canucks for wearing those beautiful orange and black retro jerseys the other night.
Didn't see that.
Yeah, that old logo with the skate that said Canucks on it. I mean, that thing is just beautiful. I forgot how nice that was.
No, I saw it's Demko. I think I saw his whole setup. Again, I'm in all these goalie groups, but I saw
Kirk McLean
setup was spot on. Kirk McLean.
It's pretty cool.
Which was very cool.
Yeah.
And then I saw Dallas wearing their Tron jerseys there. The black with the fluorescent green.
Awful,
but I still like it.
That's cool. Hey, Tampa Bay's bringing back their creamsicle jerseys, but because of the disruption in, I guess, whatever what's going on around the world, Nike doesn't have the time to complete them before this year. So it'll be 2023. I think the Tampa Bay Bucks will wear them 4 or 5 times in the year. Yeah.
Okay, last one. I did hear, I don't know, did you see the rumor? I think I posted on the group where somebody was saying that the Dolphins are trying to bring in Tom Brady and
tried.
It's over?
Past tense. Yeah, they wanted to bring Peyton and Brady. But hey, remember, the Bucks have Brady's rights, and they're not going to trade him. So if he wants to come back, he's a Tampa Bay Buck. So,
well, if anybody can do it, it's a friend of Rob Gronkowski's, because Brady just has to do the old "I'm retiring," not get traded or whatever it is. Remember Gronkowski stopped the trade to the Lions or something like that? Anyways.
Something like that.
Okay. On that note, we are going to go out to, so there's a link also in the show description today. We'll post it on our site too, but I was able to design, and we have our unsportsmanlike convo gear page where you can actually order from their size, color, all that kind of stuff through Mega City Promotions. Doesn't even have to go through us anymore. There's a link there so you guys can start ordering.
Buy his stuff. Buy the stuff.
And if there's something you want to see, so there's another hat I got to design, but if there's something you want to see on there that's not there, hit me up and I'll put something together. But the guys, Steve at Mega City Promotions, have been really good. Anyway, we're going to
call Steve. Call Steve or text him. Get something for your entire family.
No, you don't have to. You're not listening. There's a link now. You go to the store and you can actually click the UC T-shirt, the sweaters, whatever, and order whatever you want.
They can still say hi to Steve.
Yeah, Steve.
Drop Steve an email. Oh, he's a busy guy. Anyways, buy some stuff. Go on the site. Buy some stuff. Put it to the cart and buy it.
I wanted to go out to. I like but and I cannot lie, but we're going out to my house.
Nice.
Before we got on here. Anyway, have a safe night. We'll see you guys next week. I think we got a couple special guests next week.
The boys.
Sig and BJ Charles will be on next week
talking
basketball while I fade into the background.
Buy some stuff.
We don't have to go wild. Welcome to my house. Play that music too loud. Show me what you do now. We don't have to go wild. Welcome to my house. Welcome to my house. Morning comes and you know that you wanna stay. Close the blinds, let's pretend that the time has changed. Keep our clothes on the floor, open up champagne. Let's continue the night, come on, celebrate. That's how we do. Sometimes you gotta stay in, and you know where I live. Yeah, you know what we is. Sometimes you gotta stay in. Welcome to my house, baby, take control now. We can't even slow down. We don't have to go out. Welcome to my house. Play that music too loud. Show me what you do now.